So
That,
on
yeah.
scripting, knowing what to say
Hmm.
changes my results. Let me give everybody an example here. And Steve, I know you've heard this.
Yeah.
Steve, if I say, "Hey, dude, what's your phone number?" When you read it back to me, you're reading me a script, right?
Exact the same way
It's
every time.
yeah,
Anybody who wants
it's
to get in
area
touch with
code
me.
212-555-1212 or whatever that. I just a made up number, right? And so you've memorized that script. Now, if you change that script by one word
Yeah.
and you say seven instead of six, my result's going to be completely different because with just a one word change, now when I call that number, I'm calling somebody else. I'm not calling the awesome dude that I'm looking to speak to. And so small little phrases, knowing what to say, I think changes everything. Number one, it gets me better results. But number two, probably equally as important, when I know what to say, I enter the conversation with a lot more confidence. I'm convinced
Mhm.
that call reluctance
Yeah.
is sprouted from I don't know what to say. And it's just like if you all of a sudden you put me at the Nationals Plumbers Association and you go, all right, Carl,
Let's
you're
talk
on
about this
stage.
flange.
Yeah, you're on stage and you're going to talk about the different sizes of flanges. Is like, dude,
Holy
I don't
cow,
even know
what's
what
a
a flange
flange?
is. I think it's
Right,
spelled
right.
with a G, not a J. I'm not sure, but I literally don't know what a flange is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so knowing what to say, it increases my conversion and increases my confidence. So
Mhm.
I think the scripting is a really big deal. And Steve, I love the way you do it, man. It's like these little simple phrases,
Yeah.
these little simple sayings that you do uh really makes a big difference. Like it's just a night and day difference.
Yeah. But you know what I really think about, Carl? There is, and I'll give you an example because we have 9 scripts that literally, and I know that may sound like a lot, but it even breaks down into 3 main scripts that if you want to have a wildly successful business, which we've helped a ton of loan officers break massive income barriers. I remember Carl last year. I know you remember this. I called you and I'm like, Carl, it's not 150 scripts, and you were like, what do you mean? Like what are you doing? It was random. And I was
I
like,
remember that.
Carl, there's only 9.
Fine.
And I'll never forget that because I was like freaking out because you and I we talk lots about scripts and we got this book and this script book and this, and it was 9. And then as we continue to just laser it down, it really gets down to 3, and it matters how you say because if you implement 3, your conversion, in my opinion, and with the results we've seen, will help you do. I'll give you an example. Hey, true story. Jared Manley was going through the boot camp, came in the boot camp, Carl, listen, and we went through 8 weeks. He called me the first week and he said, the only reason why I'm here is I want to learn how to ask for the business in a cool way.
Mm,
And
mm.
when he started, he said, the only thing I want to track is outbound calls, talk tos, and how many times I asked for the business. And you know what happened, Carl?
I mean,
We started, he was in the 50 percentile range.
okay.
And by the end of the 8 weeks, he had mastered 3 scripts in his conversation and had literally converted. He called me. He said, Steve, I know this is my last week in the boot camp. We're walking into week 9. He said, brother, I just put 5 loans this week in my pipeline because I
Mm,
learned how to ask for the business in the cool way. And it
mm.
wasn't 25 different scripts. It was just 3. And start like and if you want to go even further, it's 9, but really 3. Hey, and I'll give you an example. And Carl, like I'll like one of them. Should we, like, the one thing I'm thinking about is this. I've heard a lot of people say, hey, Carl, man, hey, listen, appreciate, enjoyed working with you. Hey, don't keep me a secret when you're talking to the next client. Hey, would you mind, sending over your next buyer lead? Right? That's a cool
I'm
way to ask for the business.
away.
Yeah, cool. Wait, nothing wrong with it. Or, hey, listen, don't keep me a secret. Or, hey, when you run into somebody, I'd love to be your go-to person, or add me to your list. I'd love to be one of your top 3. And what we found was in tweaking that, and simply, like, I'll give you an example of just one example that literally 10x's your conversion. And Carl, there's 3 immediately will transform, and we've got what was 6 more right behind it. So instead of just saying, hey, when you get your next buyer lead, this is one example. Just saying, hey, listen, who do you have today that I could help you get pre-approved to make sure it's a good use of your time? And Carl, tweaking that one script, he was already kind of saying it, and he wasn't saying it all the time, but just a couple of times, it wasn't a process. That one script like 10x the number of literal closable loans in his pipeline in a week. And I think that when we're talking about conversion, when you learn what is already working, because every word in that sentence matters. When you say, hey, when you get your next buyer lead, think of me, is different than whenever I say, Carl, who do you have today? Because my mind thinks differently about that one question. Who do I have today that needs to get pre-approved that I could send over to Steve? So who do you have today that I could help you get pre-approved to make sure it's a good use of your time? And when we're talking about conversion, the scripting part of what we do is what I think probably adds 20, 30, maybe even as much as 40% to your daily conversations because you know how to ask it in an effective way.
Mhm. I like that, man. Hey, so Steve, let me ask you something, buddy. I hear in your boot camp,
Yeah.
you spend a good amount of time on scripting because you literally wrote the book on scripting for loan officers.
Yes.
So if I'm wanting to have learn my scripting so
Yes.
that I have higher conversions and probably maybe even more important, higher confidence,
That's it.
both talking to real estate agents and to the actual prospective borrower.
Yeah.
How do I get more information about the boot camp? What do I do?
Yeah. Hey, go to loanofficersuccess.com. And so, Carl, just fill out, there's a couple of pieces of information, and myself or Jennifer, somebody on the team, will call and make sure that you get notified as the next boot camp opens up. So, hey, and Carl, we do in week 2, we really go into the scripts and the conversations that help you convert more of the agent relationships that you have. In week 5, we talk about what we're saying to our database and the clients that are in process. And you know what I think is probably the most impactful week of the whole 8 weeks is where we go into the top buyer objections and how to convert the hard conversations like, hey, I'm shopping for a rate, or hey, I'm going to have to look at 2 or 3 lenders, or your rate sounds high. How do you convert more of those conversations? And in week 7, I literally give you the scripts, Carl, that are converting. For me in my business, it helped us convert. For us, it increased 30% conversion by just what I teach in week number 7. So loan officer success, if you want to know more, get on the list. As soon as we open up the next boot camp, you'll get the notification to pre-register, save your spot. Carl, here's the thing. There's only 20 spots. And we keep it to that tight group, but man, it's making a big difference. All right. So
Okay,
look, we're
man.
talking about
So
scripts.
higher conversion,
Yep.
higher confidence.
Yep.
What was that website again?
Overcoming call reluctance. It's called loanofficersuccess.com.
Loan officers.
Loanofficersuccess.com.
All right, cool. Hey, man, another great episodes, and we'll check that loanofficersuccess.com. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. See you.